Welcome to The Prop Shop, the podcast that brings you the coolest tips and tricks for your costuming and replica prop needs. We're your hosts, Sean Toomey.
Adam Hazy.
And Ryan's not here.
Why is Ryan not here, Sean? And why'd you do the intro this week?
I felt like mixing it up. And
man.
And Ryan's not here because, well, there was a forest fire.
Fire?
Yeah, it was close to his house.
His house?
Yeah, his
Is he
house.
okay?
He's fine, but he did the most amazing thing ever.
He kissed his dog.
Well, that, and he rescued baby bears from a burning tree.
Kind of like Little Bear?
Kind of like that. But he rescued them from a burning tree by throwing them out of the tree.
Wow.
So, I mean,
he's a firefighter.
He is a very noble person. He deserves a medal. You should make him a medal.
I will make him a World Peace Corps medal.
Yeah, you really should. Okay,
24-karat gold bearskin inlays.
Is that out of the bears that he saved? I sure hope not.
No, they died of natural causes.
I would say burning is a natural cause, but, well, no, he saved the bears, so we're good.
Well, we don't know that. We're just assuming. We didn't check on the bears after he threw them.
Well, yeah, you're right.
So, yeah.
Anyway, so what have you been working on?
So I've actually been working on a Skyrim helmet I've acquired.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I got it as a raw cast, so I've mostly been kind of getting the flashing off of it, and I sanded the seam down, and I'm about to work on the horns in the next couple days and get those started to attach. I actually started a YouTube video about it if you want to go check it out on UnitedPropBuilders YouTube channel.
Cool.
How about you, Mr. Sean Toomey?
Well, I wasn't able to do much in the past few weeks, but I was able to trim a little bit on the base of my Mandalorian helmet. So.
Oh, nice. You finally got that in?
Yeah, I got it in 2 weeks ago, actually. It was right after we recorded the other podcast.
Oh,
I got it,
perfect timing, huh? Right after we
awesome.
record.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But it's a little rough and a little small, but I think I can make it work. So, and I got to order a new visor for it, too, because the one I got is way too small.
Oh, that's not bad, though. Visors are usually pretty cheap.
Yeah, I'm just going to try and sell it and get my money back if I can. So, if not, I don't know what I'm going to just, not that expensive. So I'm getting kind of tired of talking, so why don't you explain what we're going to do today?
Okay. We actually have a pre-recorded interview with one of our friends. His name is Brad Thompson, and he is a member of Impact Props. He's done a lot of really cool things in the past couple months, and the reason why it was pre-recorded is because there were some difficulties that popped up that kept us from being able to do a live interview for you guys. So we'll go ahead and step right into the interview and let you guys take a listen at what he has to say. So everyone, we're here with Brad Thompson from Impact Props, and he's going to talk to us about how he scratch builds his suits instead of using the traditional Pepakura or foam template method. So, Brad, how did you get started in doing the scratch building for your suits?
That's a good question. Actually, there weren't any files when I started making Halo costumes. That's primarily what I do. So when Reach came out, I saw TimeCon, or Tim Wynn, making his first Halo Reach suit, and that definitely inspired me, and I was like, well, if he can do it, I can try, because he's a master. So I went ahead and tried, and my first suit turned out not very good. Both my Reach suits didn't turn out very well, but as I kept going, I mean, the more suits you make, the better you get, so it's all about perseverance.
That's pretty much the golden rules, like try again, and then achieve what you always wanted.
Oh my gosh, it's all about patience. It really is. If you have patience, you will do some cool things.
So, for those who don't know, what are some of the key differences between using the templates and then having to create your own work of art from this?
Oh, it's definitely a challenge whenever you're first starting out. It's pretty easy to go online, find some templates. Maybe not very hard to scale them if you don't know what you're doing with Pepakura. But, I mean, I just start out by looking at tons of reference pictures, or just getting on Halo and looking at, the costumes in the in the menu screen. I think that's what it is. Just doing the 3D, running around, just really getting familiar with it. As soon as you like memorize every detail, it's pretty easy to get started, especially when you have some sort of reference size-wise. So hopefully that answered your question. I didn't really hear it.
It did. Because like size is like the most important thing. 'Cause if you make one piece too big or too small, that's going to be noticed by a good majority of the people compared to the rest of the suit.
Yeah, totally. It is. Starting the first part, I usually start with the chest, but when I do start, like, I go through probably 3 or 4 pieces on trying to get the size right in comparison to the body. So it's probably one of the toughest parts getting started.
And then once you get your chest piece done, you can go ahead and finish off the rest of the suit doing the same exact method you did with the chest. Basically scratch building that and eyeballing it.
Right. If you get measurements from the person, like, I don't know, if you're making it for yourself, I mean, it is a huge challenge making it for other people when they just give you measurements. But whenever you're doing it yourself, you can do size checks, and I think the only thing that needs to be that you have to like look at the game models to actually size correctly is the chest piece. Everything else is just like feel and how long you actually want it to be on you personally.
Right.
So that's one of the things.
And all of your suits you've done thus far have been scratch built, correct?
Yes. One of my suits that I made before, I didn't scratch build the chest piece, but everything else, I mean, that's my only experience using templates, except for using my own templates, of course, that I've made.
Didn't you take one of your suits that you scratch built to San Diego Comic Con or Dragon Con?
I did. I actually took them to both, but probably the most memorable experience was going to meet Adam Savage, and I got a few pictures with him, and it kind of, I don't know if it went viral, but it went to a few major websites. And
yeah, I remember he posted it on his
bounced.
Twitter, and it was like,
He did?
Yeah, it was really cool. I remember seeing that.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, I think he did.
Wow. I know he mentioned me in one of the Tested podcasts, and the picture that I put on my Facebook page, Impact Props, somebody posted it on an app called iFunny. If you're familiar with the iPhone app called iFunny,
Yeah.
it's pretty popular, and that was featured on there and got like 2,500 likes and comments, and so that was a blast.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's definitely Adam Savage's face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the picture that we took of him, but it's definitely cool to see someone that, you know, in the cosplaying looking at your suit like that. So
Yeah.
it was very flattering.
And not only have you scratch built your suits, but you've also scratch built weapons such as the DMR and your new knife that you've just done.
Yes, I want to talk about the DMR first. That is totally out of foam, EVA foam also. So it's super lightweight, and what I did, if Ryan was here, he'd be testament to this because I made him while I was hanging out with him. But I did a sliced method, and, you know, just outlining the silhouette with a Sharpie or something, just completely eyeballing it, cutting it out, and it looks really rough. You do 3 layers, and then you get wooden dowels, run them through it, so it's very sturdy, but also very lightweight. And then you just use my method. I like to call it layering. I don't know if I came up with that, but I use thin craft foam to like overlay on top of the base structure in order to get all that little detail and the feeling and of the gun, actually the shapes and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how I made the DMRs, and I made 2 in 3 days. So that was kind of
Yeah, that's
a race
really
for
impressive
me.
build time for those things.
Yeah, totally. And I had it was probably 3 solid days though of work.
Yeah, considering how big and how much detail are on each of those DMRs,
Mm-hmm.
you knock those out quicker than any other method there is.
Right, and I think you guys would like this. I bought some little Lennon circle sunglasses online with like some amber tint on it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a circle glasses. I popped the lenses out and used them as front lenses for the DMR.
Oh, that's a pretty good idea.
So it's really goofy.
That's sweet.
The story behind that, but they look really good on it. So I guess whatever works, right?
Yeah.
And I guess I want to talk about the knives. I actually made those out of styrene, and this is something I'm totally new to. Let me grab one here. I did a lot of sculpting on it with epoxy sculpt, and that's something that Eric Newgard showed me. He's the other member of Impact Props, and I don't know, it was just a completely new experience because like sitting down there with clay tools and sculpting out a handle, sculpting out like a weave on the blade. I mean, it was a very big learning experience for me. Have you guys worked with any styrene or epoxy sculpt?
I personally have not. It's one of those things on my list of things to try just to see what I can do with it, but I haven't had the opportunity to mess with it yet.
Right. Same here. I mean,
Right, it's a blast. It really is. And that's how I cut myself and gave myself 2 stitches.
oh, fun.
Ooh,
All right.
that's not
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it was a blast.
When you go to sell them, you say, "I bled for this prop. You better like
I
it."
totally bled on them.
So-
You guys blacked out again for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned this thing called Impact Props quite a bit. Is that like your group you started, or were you kind of brought into it by some other people?
That's actually a really good question. Impact Props started out as a small group, or not a small group, I'm sorry. Eric Newgard's Facebook page that he decided to showcase all of his props and helmets and stuff that he created. And I got to know him pretty well because we were pretty tight competitors with the whole Skyrim Dragon Priest mask thing. And we also made ODSTs around the same time too. So we were competitors. I was trying to outdo him and he was trying to outdo me. So it was just kind of cool. And he started making, I think he made a warrior helmet, the Halo 4 warrior helmet. And he saw the Master Chief suit that I did. And we both kind of mutually thought that it would be a great idea for us to collaborate on some works because our skills offset each other and, complement each other. So that's kind of how that started. And I was just like, hey, we should just use your Facebook page. It's already an awesome name. So that's how that started.
Nice. It's always good to see like friendly competition and then be able to make something even better once you two team up together.
Exactly. The first collaboration build I think was the yellow wetwork, and that's by far one of my favorite suits that I've done.
Yeah, that thing's
And
nice looking
he made
too.
that. Yeah, it was so fun to make, and I made it that in a month. I don't know. I make all my suits in a really short period of time. Don't tell anybody this, but I made that pink Spartan that I just finished in like 2.5 weeks.
Oh
But
wow,
shh.
that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. That turned out amazing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, you start getting the hang of it. Like, I didn't actually scratch build that whole thing. I scratch built the chest and the shoulders, and the rest of it I used my templates and modified it to a female's physique.
Right.
So I gave it some hips and stuff, and that was a really fun project for me too, being able to, build it to make it look feminine, but matte or
Still
strong
soldier.
and epic in the
Yeah.
same way, not too girly but not too wimpy. So that was a challenge for me.
And you pulled it off quite well. It's
Yeah.
very impressive.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. We got a really good friend of mine to get in a few pictures, and if you guys haven't seen it, there's some pretty epic pictures. I have another friend that I met here at University of Oklahoma that is by far one of the best photographers that I've seen ever. Taking pictures of any other costume, and it really makes my work look crazy. So, thanks to him too.
Thanks, photographer.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously, if you have a great photographer, your stuff, I mean, that's one of the keys to making your props look good too. So.
Right.
So when you scratch build, what are the tools that you use when cutting it? Because I'm assuming there's a lot of it that's the same as you would with foam building, but everybody has their own like personal tool they like to use too.
Yes. Okay, that's a good question. I started cutting foam with Cutco scissors, and they didn't really give me the cleanest cut. I think the cleanest cut that I've ever gotten is from Sharp X-Acto knives. But I also use just regular old scissors, just the cheap, crappy scissors from, I don't know, Hobby Lobby, Walmart for the thinner craft foam.
Yeah.
I don't know, the way that I do it, the layering method that I do, it really doesn't matter how clean your cuts are because you're going to be overlaying them with foam that will, kind of cancel that out and cover it up.
Until you get to that final layer.
Right, exactly. Like the craft foam, you have to worry about getting a good cut. And the edges of the suit where the thick foam is, you have to worry about getting a clean cut. But so that's just an interesting a side note that
Yeah.
a lot of people don't really understand about the way I do things.
So what has been your personal favorite build you've done thus far?
Man, I would have said the Iron Man Mark 42 suit that I've done a few months ago, but now I'm gonna have to say it's that pink Spartan. I spent a lot of effort trying to get that detail in the back. There isn't a really good shot of the back yet, but the back is super detailed in the game, and I tried to make it as detailed as I could. Looking at that, and I am so proud of that chest piece. I really am. I think that's one of my favorite things that I've made.
Yeah, and I'm sure over the course of the next few days, pictures will be popping up of that thing all over the place.
Oh yeah.
That's correct. I'm gonna try to get one picture, I think, a day until I decide to post the whole album.
And eventually, we'll see that back piece.
Hopefully, I'm not sure if we have a picture of it. If not, I'll take a picture and just post it on there and be like, look at this, guys. I'm happy with it.
Look at all these incredible photos, and then here's mine.
Yeah, here's my iPhone photo. Sure, looks okay.
Legit. So, Brad, on a lot of your suits, you have got that hex pattern that you see in the game. A lot of people try to achieve that. How did you get that?
Yes, sir. I want to go ahead and throw out a few methods that I've seen. A lot of people have done a little bit of Dremel work into the foam by creating little circle effects, and I think that's a great idea. But I do it personally a different way. I use a meshing kind of material. The first time I used this mesh, it was from a duck hunting bag that you put like game, fowl, or decoys in, like a camo green mesh hunting bag, and I cut that up and put it on what should be the undersuit. Now, what I do the craft foam. I think this 5mm foam, and I do a kind of cavity that kind of wraps around you, so it's technically an undersuit, but it's still made out of foam, and it's flexible because I don't actually paint it. I only plasti dip it. But we can get to that later whenever we're talking about paint. But I think that's what sets my work apart from other cosplaying Halo people. It's that hexagonal material, and I can't go and say that what brand it is because I haven't found two of a specific bag. So if you're thinking about getting a type of mesh pattern, I would suggest going to Academy or Academy Sports and Outdoors or some sporting goods store and kind of looking around. There's like probably football bags or like laundry bags, or I even found a minnow net thing, a floaty thing, and that had perfect pattern. That's actually what I used for the Pink Spartan's hexagonal pattern, so it's not a laundry bag actually.
Oh,
See,
nice.
I never would have thought of something like that. I would assume that it'd be painted on or something, but that I've never really heard of anything like that before. It's really innovative, I think.
Well, thank you. That's one of the things I really want to capture, and I wanted to capture when I started making the Halo games, is that, or Halo
Wow, you made the
armors.
Halo games.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
You know, I'm
that's
going to go ahead and take
impressive.
credit for that while we're here.
Man, tell your guys at 343 I love the work that you and everyone else put into
Yeah.
those.
You know, I actually made Master Chief. You know, I voiced him too. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
If you can't tell.
Oh, man, that's uncanny. We might have to have you do a few voiceovers for us too.
Yeah.
No. No,
Against
bro,
contract.
no. Yeah. Sorry, you'll have to be paying me lots of monies.
Okay. Well, we don't have that.
Yeah.
I'll just
Sorry.
I'll just dip into Sean's salary and take it out of there.
Just give me a lot of props. I'll take some helmets from you fools.
So as you were working on the Halo suits,
Oh, yeah, sorry. That's one of the things that I really wanted to capture, and that's one of the problems that I've dealt with. And I haven't seen anybody else use a mesh pattern. And I've made, I think, 4 Halo 4 suits, and I've used that in each of them. So I'm surprised it's not catching on or something. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
because I have to say that does give it a very unique look and one of the closest techniques I've seen. I think the main reason it hasn't caught on yet is nobody knows the mystery material you'd used until now.
Really? I've posted like all on the 405th threads. I posted it while Eric was in Texas. We actually put a few pictures of me putting the mesh onto the foam. So I'm trying to be as clear as I can. So it's not a secret, guys. I haven't been keeping anything from you guys. So
Yeah. Some forums aren't as young and sprawling as they once were. What you should have done is posted them on the UnitedPropBuilders forums over at UnitedPropBuilders.com/forums.
yes. I don't even have an account there. I should probably do that. Shouldn't I?
That's where all the hip and hopping kids are.
Yeah.
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 We got people
Okay.
like Ryan there.
Really?
Really?
No shows.
Yeah.
What? I don't know if I want to be associated with those kind of people, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Nah, just
they're
kidding.
good people for the most
Yes,
part.
they are. Ryan's so fun.
So you were talking about painting your suit. So how do you personally go about that?
Okay, so what I do, I think I'm going to go ahead and clarify. One of the first misconceptions that I think a lot of people have is the amount of Plasti Dip you use will make it look more metallic. And that is just not true at all. Plasti Dip is sole purpose is to seal the foam and make a paintable surface. So it won't fill in the holes, but it will. I mean, it might fill in some of the holes,
Some
but
of the
it's
smaller
just giving
ones.
a attachment agent onto it, right?
Right.
So what I do is I use the Rust-Oleum enamels, and I want to make sure that you guys get the enamel brand of Rust-Oleum because that is the thickest kind of paint
Right.
that they have. And what I do, the more layers that you put on it, the more metallic it will look, and the more shiny it will be, and actually the harder your armor will be, which is a crazy thing that I learned after using probably 7 cans of spray paint the first time.
Which makes sense because the more layers you have, the thicker it's going to end up.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and it really adds a crazy effect to it. So what I would suggest that I used probably 5 cans on the pink suit of just straight up pink.
Oh,
So the
wow.
more paint you have, the more metallic it will look, and the less it will look like foam. So there's that. And I do a dry brushing battle damage technique that I think some people do. I'm not sure. I haven't really looked into that. But I get one of those cheap wooden paintbrushes, and I get a can of flat black, and I just kind of spray a lot of black paint on and just kind of go to town on the armor, highlighting all the accents, all the detail. And I do a lot of actually spraying lines on the costume itself and then rubbing at it with the dry brush, with the paintbrush again, and it kind of creates a charred look. And one thing that I did that's a new thing for me on this pink suit is I've never actually used silver as a battle damage color on any of my suits, and I felt like on this pink suit it was missing something because of how dark the pink was, and so it kind of needed some silver accents. So that added a really a nice dynamic to the battle damage on this suit.
Yeah, the silver accents definitely bring everything together, I think it adds quite nicely to the suit and the overall look.
And silver
Right.
accents would make sense to begin with, because usually if it's any type of metal suit, more than likely at one point it was a type of silver.
Yeah, and the paint
Right.
is going to come off at one point or another, so...
I do think it depends on what colors you use. Like, I'm going to guess, for example, on my yellow suit, if I would have put silver on there, it would have taken away from the black contrast to the yellow contrast because it's such a drastic change.
Right, but
Yeah.
something like green, it would probably look pretty nice with.
Yes, green, and it would probably have been nice if I put it on my red suit too.
Any dark colors
But
it would look good with, but lighter colors like yellow, I don't think that would look
Keep
quite
to the
as
black
yeah.
for the yellow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, keep to the carbon scoring. We don't need paint chips and stuff to come out.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
So, with that enamel paint and the multiple layers that you use, do you still run into the problem that a lot of people have of the chipping or cracking of the moving foam pieces?
Yeah, I do. I have had problems with that sometimes. That's why I kind of tend to stay away from actually painting parts that move. Like, for example, the cavity, the chest cavity, right? The hexagonal mesh on the sides that are black.
Mm-hmm.
That's not actually painted. That's just plasti dipped, so you can actually move it without the cracking. And I guess another part would be along the thighs, the inner thighs, how there's a black piece there. That's not painted either. That's only plasti dipped, and it's also black foam, so it doesn't. So if it rips, then it won't be a problem. But the parts that move and that need to stretch on a person should not be painted, and then you will avoid a lot of that cracking. But I mean, cracking is inevitable on almost every piece because it is a flexible foam that you're working with.
Right. There's no one true way to get it perfectly ever not cracking unless you make it out of fiberglass.
Right, but there are a lot of downsides to fiberglass, and I ran into a conversation with somebody on my page talking about why fiberglass resin and all that stuff is a little bit more professional than foam. I would say that it is a little more professional because you can sculpt the details and stuff won't fall off of your suit. But I mean, nothing can compare to wearing a foam suit. Like, you will not get nearly that close to the comfort
Or
of a foam suit.
flexibility.
Oh, or flexibility. Sure, and the chipping. I mean, you're going to have chipping on any costume that you make, right?
Mhm.
So, like, on the fiberglass, like, if you rub your arm against the chest piece, you're going to have paint chipping, blah, blah, blah. So you're going to have wear and tear on your costume on whatever material you make it out of. So that's just a given. So, I mean, out of all of the costumes I've made some out of plastic, and foam is just, it might not be as professional as material to make with, but if you're going to be wearing it, that's the material you want to use. But if you want to put it on display, then, feel free to use fiberglass.
Yeah, and everybody has their personal preferences too. Some like the fiberglass more because they feel more sturdy. Others like the flexibility and ability to sit down.
Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
like what you said, when fiberglass is more professional than foam, I really don't see it as that way. I see they're both on like an equal level of professionalism. I mean, it just depends on
I
what
think-
you want.
Yeah, it does come down to craftsmanship.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at a
And
lot of movies and stuff like that, professionally made movies, they've got a lot of costumes are made from foam. So,
Right.
I mean, it's like saying that fiberglass is a professional material and foam is for, like, if you just want to take an easy way out or be really cheap about it.
Well,
it's
I think the argument
same
for that
thing.
is that with the fiberglass and the Bondo and all that, you don't have seam lines. You don't have
Yeah.
to try to cover things up.
Yeah. Maybe that's
You
what
can
that's what you were talking about. I don't know. I mean, I just got the whole, professional level thing. That's what I would get
Right, I
out
can
of
see
it.
both sides of the argument, so I was just kind of throwing out the other side.
The comment really rubbed me the wrong way too. I mean, there are a bunch of, like, if you go on the RPF, there are some pretty cool foam suits, but then again, there are a lot of, not as professional foam suits, and I think that is that gives foam a bad reputation. I'm not saying people's are bad. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's
Right. It's just
I'm
some
just
put
saying.
more effort in than others.
Right, and you can get away with a lot more with foam too, which is another thing.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen spectacular things and terrible things on both types of material. It just depends on the person building it.
Yeah.
So Brad, recently on your page, I've seen you've done these incredible gold Skyrim daggers. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I do. Actually, these blades were created by Eric Newgard, another member of Impact Props. But I really want to go into detail on how we actually made these gold. Now, some of you might have thought, I mean, if you've seen these, that they're actually paint. We actually casted these with gold powder into the mold. And what we did something like cold casting. We painted, or we used a brush to spread the powder along the inside of the mold. And then when we casted it, we pulled it out. We have a gold dagger. So that was a really cool experience to learn how to actually do that when Eric was over at my house building a few weeks ago. But we finished it with white leather and some white fur too.
Yeah, and
So
those
it
looked
makes it like
amazing.
ebony or something. So it's definitely a special version. So it was really fun to make too.
It's got to be incredibly nice to just look at those and just be like, we did that.
Yeah, dude, seriously. It's totally rewarding whenever you're into this kind of hobby.
Yeah, I believe it. Well, Brad, it looks like we're about coming out on our time limit. It was great having you here. We'd love to have you back again sometime.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast talking to you guys.
So
talking shop.
If people would like to get a hold of you, where could they do that at?
Yes, definitely go to our page, Impact Props, so facebook.com/ImpactProps. Send us a message, write on our wall. Don't comment on our photos asking questions because we probably don't answer those. But if you really want a direct answer from us, definitely send us a message. We try to get through all of those, even though we do get a lot.
So that was our interview with Brad Thompson of Impact Props. I really hope you guys liked that. I thought it was a great interview. We had a blast doing it.
Yes, we did.
So, for the next thing we're going to talk about is what inspires you to prop make. So, Sean, what inspires you to make and choose the things that you do?
Well, usually I just get inspired, like it's a spur of the moment type thing. Usually, if I'm playing a game and I see something that I like, I'm like, wow, I really want to have this. And so I do a little bit of looking online. I find how other people have made it, and I just say, okay, this looks doable. And if I think it's doable, I go for it. If it's like, this might be a little too complicated for what I need, I wait and put it on hold. And if I'm able to do it in the future, I jump on the opportunity to. So.
Oh, nice. Because that happens to me too, but it's also like if I'm playing a game or watching a movie or TV show like consecutively, it's like I start getting attached to that character, so I want to represent that character in the best way I can. So I think this is a pretty good place to wrap it up. I know this week's show has been a lot shorter than what you guys are usually used to, but just due to some technical difficulties and Ryan being a hero, we haven't been able to produce the podcast we hope to get out. But stay tuned for our next podcast, and it's just going to blow you guys away. It's going to be fantastic. So, Sean, where can people find you if they wish to get a hold of you?
People can find me on Twitter at SeanEngine951. And YouTube is still being stupid, so don't even bother with that.
Well, okay
That's
then.
pretty much it. Yeah, that's it.
That's a good place for people to find you. People like the
Yeah.
Twitters.
Yeah, and that I respond to people on Twitter.
They like to do the tweeting to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where can people find you?
If you wish to get a hold of me, you can find me at facebook.com/UnitedPropBuilders, youtube.com/UnitedPropBuilders. Contact us on the forums at UnitedPropBuilders.com/forums. Or just find me on Facebook or the Facebook group. Just kind of search United Prop Builders, and I'm sure you'll come across something that I'm associated with.
Just Google it.
So until next time, I'm your host, Adam Hazy,
And Sean Toomey.
and we'll catch you later.